Here at Unlimited Cosmetology, we are now offering our aesthetic program and services to the public. Please come down and enjoy a massage or facial. We offer waxing, lashes, and brow services. Call and set up your appointment today. Services start at 5 p.m. We're located at 102 Broad Street in Hattiesburg.
Hello, I'm just so excited that you joined me today. This is going to be a wonderful program. I'm excited because I have a celebrity on today, and she's a Christian. She loves God, she loves people, and she's found her purpose, and she is walking in it. Can I give you a little short intro on who I'm going to be talking with today? The name of her group is Chapel Hart. She's originally from Poplarville, the big place of Poplarville, Mississippi, American country music vocal group. She has a group. The group consists of her sister. This is Danica right next to me. That's who we're going to be talking to today. And then the other group, Devin, and her cousin Tree Swindle, all three of whom are vocalists. And they are, when I say vocalists, they know how to sing. I didn't say sing. They know how to sing. Chapel Hart has independently released 4 studio albums and 11 singles, people. But in July of 2022, something exciting happened. They competed in the 17th season of America's Got Talent, where they finished 5th. Their performance of You Can Have Him, Jolene, an answer to a song by Dolly Parton's Jolene. It was the second time in the series' history that all 4 judges awarded a competitor the Golden Buzzer. The group's music is defined by their vocal harmony and influence from other female country acts. Now, they don't just sing country, they can sing gospel music, but how many of us know that we don't have a lot of us who sing country music? So that's one reason why I'm so excited. I'm not going to give you any more of her intro. I'm going to talk to her directly, and we're going to talk about who she is. Danica, I met you the other night, and I was excited.
Yeah, let me tell you what. And I think that you, sometimes whenever I always like to say when I come home, I try to go and visit as many of my friends and churches. I try to fellowship as much as I can. Mm-hmm. And so I was going to fellowship with my bestie, Jessica, Jessica Beard, and her husband was preaching. And not until I get there do I remember that, like from growing up, that usually when they give the welcome, a visitor has to give the response. And I was like,
they still do that.
And I said, I am not. I told my husband, I said, I feel like maybe I should, but I don't know what to say in a response. And so I just was like, and then I turned and I said, well, just as I was like muscling up, I was like, well, I guess if I got to go, you stood up and you were like, hello. And I said, now come on in. After you did the response, I said, I would have never been able to do that. I said, and I told him, I said, I like her. I said, I love her spirit. And so when I say I am honored to be here today.
Yeah.
I am honored to be here today.
I'm so glad because I've heard other people talking about they've seen you all on TV and everything. Then I started going to YouTube, pulling up podcasts. I said, that girl has it going on.
Oh, come on.
Now, one thing I like about you, you are an encourager. Tell me where did that come from? How did you start that?
Let me tell you what. So I think for me, I think it goes back to when I was a little girl. When I was little, I was adopted by my uncle and my birth mom. You know, she had 2 boys at the time, and you know she was trying to really get herself together. Right. And so she asked her brother if he would. She always says, she said, I had a princess and I didn't know what to do with a girl. She said, I just I was a tomboy myself, and she said, but I needed to have somebody who could raise you right and raise you like the princess you were. Right. And so, but even growing up, I struggled to kind of, now that I'm older, I realize, that maybe, there was a lot of tools and things that she didn't have. But when I was a child, I didn't know that. So to me, I just thought that, I didn't fit in anywhere, and I thought nobody wanted me. And so, and I was the only child with my uncle, and so it was I had a lot of things that I had to work through,
but little did you know that God had something special for you in life, and you were at the right place with the right person at the right time.
At the right time.
Yes.
But from being in those places of loneliness,
Yes.
I always said, like, if I get a chance or when I go to school, I want to make people laugh. I want to make people smile.
Wow.
And it was the joy that I didn't think that I had at the time, but I wanted to somehow give it away. I wanted to kind of find it and be able to give it to other people, because I felt like maybe there's people who feel like me.
Right.
And so and it kind of now has, even on my Facebook page, I'm always like, I said, it's enough bad stuff going on in the world.
Yeah.
I'd rather give
There
a little
is
love.
no way anybody can watch your Facebook page and stay sad.
Look,
You build them up.
That
You know
is
how to
my
build them
prayer.
up.
That is
Yeah.
my prayer. And most of the time, I always tell people, life be lifing sometimes, don't
Yes,
it? And so I said,
absolutely.
usually when as you're going through it, I'm going through it too. And so we'll go through it together.
That's right.
And I said, if I can,
we'll come out quicker when we go through it
oh,
together.
come on,
Yes.
because I said, for me, I think that most people and most problems, people just want to know that they're not alone.
Let me tell you what everybody wants. Everybody wants to be encouraged, and everybody wants to be loved.
That's it.
I don't care how hardcore they are.
That's it.
I don't care how they respond. They want love. Everybody's looking for love.
And look, and that's us, and I feel like a big part of my purpose is to be there to give it.
Yeah.
I always tell people, look, I was like, I said the one thing the Lord, because He said, I didn't call you here to condemn. I got that.
Right.
I called you here to love.
Yes.
And I said, and that I can do. And that's why I always said, my
Yes.
grandmother used to say, she said, I don't have no heaven or hell to put you in.
That's right.
And she said, so what?
But I can love you out of the place you're in.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah.
And
now, how old were you when you discovered that you had talent?
Oh, let's see. And I think it wasn't till later in life, Miss Hannah, because I moved to New Orleans in 2014 to sing.
Okay.
And I lost my job at the hospital. And in Poplarville, if you get a job at the hospital, you'd have made it, okay?
Oh,
so
wow.
when I tell you I was in a deep depression when I lost my job at the hospital, and I was like, where do you go from here? This is it.
Right.
Like, and so so I ended up going to New Orleans to sing with my cousin. I got my cousin to come sing with me, and we sang on the streets. But and I think that was really the moment for me, because
And people discovered your talent once you got out on the street and you started singing.
Oh yeah, that's it. And I think this, I guess that was what I was trying to say. You have to bear with me. You have to reel me back in sometimes. But I didn't know. I don't think that I knew that we had talent, because my grandparents had 17 children and there was 108 grandchildren. 17 single birth children. And I said, and so so when I say it was Tree always said, she said, I didn't realize we grew up in a musical until later in life.
Right.
And so everything
You were just doing
was music.
something.
We were just doing something. And we had a little children's choir, and it was literally from ages of like 1 up to like 18. And it was all the cousins and all the cousins who lived in Hart's
A
Chapel.
choir from one family.
And when I say it was baby singing 3-part harmonies. So we had no clue that we had no clue it was called talent. We just thought it was
Just
something
did
you
it,
did.
yeah.
Yeah. And so so once we started singing down in New Orleans, it really, I was like, oh, okay. Or like people would come on the street and they would watch us sing and they would be crying. I was like, oh, really? Like this.
And then did you start going to churches and other places to perform?
Really, after we started out really singing on the street, and from there we had a friend of ours who we sang at he had a little martini bar on Dauphine Street, and we sang there, and a guy who played there had another bar, so we went over there. So we started playing at other little bars and venues around New Orleans. And
now,
then,
what kind of music did you have? Do you have somebody playing the piano? Or?
So I played for a little while, and then we started getting, I always say, the real musicians. We started getting real musicians to come in, and we, usually we'd have like a 3-piece or a 4-piece band to come behind us. And I always tell people it was like an iPod shuffle.
Wow.
You would maybe, we would play like, so just some of our favorite songs, country music we grew up on, party music, the stuff that you hear at like a wedding reception.
Right.
And so our show was just like this big. It was just like
it was
this.
a combination of things.
It would be like you never know what you would hear at our show, and we might like you might even hear like when the saints go marching in. Or
Well, that's
like,
what intrigued the people.
That's it. That's it. And it was like, and it was open to like era, like, and maybe you hear something for a little old school, a little new school, a little, and but it was the music that we loved, and it just showed up. I think it showed up in the performance.
And so you grew up doing that, and so you started your group, formal group.
I said we started
and then
professionally.
you started traveling and performing at other places.
Yes, ma'am.
Let's talk about some of the other places you perform, other states or whatever.
Look, we have been, I tell you what, when I was little, my dad was an oceanographer, so he would travel. He traveled all the time, and he would always sometimes be gone for like 6 months out of the year. And I was like, I want to travel like that. I want to go. He would be in like Hong Kong and Japan and Singapore, and I was like, I want to go to those places. And I tell you what, I said, God is so faithful to his promises.
He is.
And we have been and we've been to so many states, especially when we came from America's Got Talent. We were all over, and I always say the way that I knew is we would get a magnet at every time we go to like a Love's, we would grab a magnet of a different state we go to. So on our bus, we've got a big refrigerator, a magnet everywhere that we've been.
Yeah.
And then we started going out of the country. We've been to other countries, Japan and the UK. We've been to the UK a good bit. And
but let's get back to America Got Talent. How did you get there? What happened?
How did we get there? Let me tell you. So I tell people we'd been going to Nashville probably for 5 years. And we were trying to make connections there, and we were trying to, that same song, You Can Have Him, Jolene, we had out for like a year before we went to America's Got Talent. But we would tell people, we were like, we've got this song we want you to hear. And they would always hear it and go, oh, that's good, but you should be riding with this person, or you should be riding with that person, or it's okay, but it needs a little more of this or a little less of that. And so I said, we were kind of getting to the place where, everybody think they baby is cute, but sometimes the baby is ugly. You got to just look at the baby and say, I said, we were kind of at that place where it was like, is the song, are our songs really good, or is it just, is it just us? And so we had an opportunity. There was a lady who reached out, and she was like, I don't know how I didn't think of this. She said, but I have y'all on my playlist. She said, you all should audition for America's Got Talent. She said, the world needs to hear what you have.
She made that suggestion.
She made it. And then, we told her, we were like, no, thank you. We're busy. We said, we've got shows.
Too busy for America Got Talent.
Look, and we were just like, it's just one of those little TV show things that, you audition, nobody ever picks you. Like, it's just, and so I said one thing about it. She had like a pit bull mentality. She was like, listen, y'all, she said, your music is good. You've got to go. And so at one point, so we kind of got down. I said, if we said no 14 times, she asked us 15. Okay?
She wasn't giving up.
She wasn't giving up. And we were supposed to go out with the Indigo Girls for a week run on our tour. And somebody caught COVID, and so they shut down the whole run.
Oh, okay.
And can you believe what was that week? America's Got Talent auditions. And we were like, well, ma'am. I was like, what we thought we had to do. I was like, if it's still open, we'd love to go. I was like, we don't. And also we had to sit down and we said, listen, what we don't want, I said, I don't want to sit down on my own. I don't want to be sitting on my rocking chair on my porch and my grandkids saying, hey, Grammy, did you? I don't want to have to say, well, I could have went to America's Got Talent. I'd rather the story be we went and didn't make it, but we went.
Yeah.
And so, and I said, so when we sat down and we kind of had that conversation, we were like, let's go. Let's go. And we'll give it everything we got. And, and at least we'll have some feedback
and y'all
afterwards.
came in 5th place.
5th place in the world, but in the nation for sure, because people come from all over the world to audition for America's Got Talent.
They sure do.
And I think first place was from overseas. They were from Dubai or something like that. The dancing girls, and then the other girl was from Australia. And I think the country singer was from here. But people come from all over the world to audition. And now, Miss Hannah, can I tell you something?
Tell me, girl.
I'm going to tell you about how good God is, the goodness of God.
Yeah.
So I ended up right before we left to go for America's Got Talent. I had been experiencing some just like not being able for vocal recovery, not recovering. And I was like, what's going on? Like, because usually I could sing hard for the weekend and take a rest for a couple days and I'm back. And it was just taking longer and longer and longer. And so I finally went to go get checked out. And I had an enlarged nodule on my vocal cord. And he said, the doctor said, we got to get this this off. He said, you know, he's like, we got to take care of it. And I said, well, I got to go do this audition. And when I come back, well, you know, I didn't expect much from the audition.
Right.
And I said, and when we get back, we will, I said, when I get back, we'll get it taken care of. And he said, okay. He said, but it's bad. I got a picture of it. I'm gonna show it to you, okay? After this, so
it was big.
It was so. It was you wouldn't even know how I was talking. So we got the golden buzzer. So then we went and got the golden buzzer. So through the entire season, I was singing, and there were days during rehearsal where the vocal directors, the music production team wouldn't let me sing. They said, you can't even talk today. They said, we can't even let you sing. Like, you know, it will do more damage.
It was that bad.
It was that bad. And so, but every time we would get on stage, I said, Lord, whatever you have for your people. Like, you know, I'm a vessel. And I was like,
He gave you the strength to make it through that particular
yes, he
show.
did. And so when people say that we came in 5th place, I can't even hardly believe it. Even just listen. I said, of all those talented people and so many talented singers, being able, and it's so much to the testament of not my will, but his will be done.
But you know what? God uses you because you don't think you're all of that.
Amen. Look, I said,
when you get to the point you think you all of that in a bag of chips, you're headed for a fall.
That's it. My grandpa used to say, pride come before fall.
That's right. Now I'm gonna put you on the spot. Hit me a couple of notes of some country music right quick.
Ooh, let's see. I'm gonna tackle one of my favorites.
Okay.
This is I done got nerve. Tanya Tucker, who is just she's a wild one, but I love her. Okay, let's see. Let's see. Delta Dawn, what's that flower you have on? Could it be a faded rose from days gone by? And did I hear you say he was meeting you here today to take you to his mansion in the sky?
Girl, that is.
I'm so nervous. Look, I was like, oh Lord, don't let my voice hurt. But
you can change your voice, and it sounds just like it's the real thing.
I'm telling you what, it's what I was raised on, and when we were in the car one day, and for probably the first half of my life, probably up till I was about maybe 6, 7, I just get in the car and whatever my mama listened to or whatever my daddy listened to, and finally one day we were in there, my mama said, whatever you want to turn on, you can turn on. She was just kind of in her head that day. And I pressed the button. And Miss Hannah, every time I pressed the button, there was something new. And it was like I saw this new world of music that I just was like, oh, it was exciting. And it was kind of maybe around about that time my mama, I know y'all probably can't believe this, but my mama I used to talk a lot when I was younger. I would talk a lot. And so my mama would finally say, Kevin, you got to do something. Because I cannot play 21 questions tonight. I got to go to bed. I got to go to work. And so my daddy would put me in the car, and we would turn on like George Jones and Kenny Rogers, Dolly Parton, and we would just go ride down. He'd ride me around the city.
Kenny Rogers.
Oh,
you decorated my life.
Ooh. And I just like Ruby and just his voice. Right. I said, I don't know why him and Lionel Richie just didn't do a record together. Ooh. And I just, but it was, I think Kenny's one of the voices of, he's a voice of an era, I think.
Yes.
And, but it was just, but we would ride around and we would sing those songs. I said, we just would bump around like two hillbillies, probably if you had a camera in the car at the time.
But look where it got you. Yeah. We have so much to talk about. I think we're going to get ready to take a break.
All right.
And then we're going to come back. Because I got some more questions for you.
Come on.
All right now. So stay tuned. We'll be back. We have much more to tell you today that you haven't heard yet. We'll be right back.
If you are being blessed by this program, we need your financial support at this time. Please consider becoming a partner or making a donation to this ministry. Donations can be made using PayPal at Hannah Hopkins Ministries or by mailing your donation to P.O. Box 17405, Hattiesburg, Mississippi 39404. We appreciate your financial support. Please pray about being a part of spreading the gospel of Jesus Christ during this crucial time by making your donation today. If you have a prayer request, please call us. If you don't get an answer, please leave your name and number and someone will call you back.
If you're joining us for the first time today, I have as my special guest Danica Hart, and she is a heart because she loves people, she loves God, and she loves what she's doing. We have so many things to talk about that we've not touched on yet. But one thing I want us to talk about is when you get up every day, do you get up excited about what God is going to do that particular day?
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I'm glad that I'm at a place because I hadn't always been this excited and have this get up for life. And, and for a long time, like I battled through depression and, not knowing my identity, not being sure in who I was. And so I'd wake up I would wake up with the weight of the world on my shoulders.
And that's a bad feeling, isn't it?
It's a bad feeling. It's a hard way to start the day because if you start down, and then you everything trying to climb out of this, or even by the time you even get to, but I finally somewhere in surrender and saying, God, I can't keep waking up like this every day. Lord, only you know how to do it. But something about when we surrender, when we say, Lord, you take this broken heart and you do with it
what you want to
do with it. And somewhere in there, he started to heal me day by day, and he started sending me people to encourage me, and he started sending me people who I looked up to, and who I was motivated by, and I just.
And you're answering another question I was going to ask. When you're going through those kind of battles, you need people in your life that's going to encourage you and boost you to go on. And sometimes we have to separate ourselves from those people who pull us down. Ooh. So if we're talking to people today that's watching this program, what would you say to a person that God has called them to do something, but they are not sure, and the people around them, they're not encouraging them? What would you say to those people? Should they just throw up their hands and give up? What should they do?
Look, Miss Hannah, this is my camera right here, huh? Look, this is my camera. Listen to me. Let me tell you what. I think very seldomly when you're called to something that your circumstances around you, that you'll be able to remain comfortable. I would not be surprised if people who you've been friends with for a lifetime, and look, I'm going to go ahead and say family in all caps will be the first. When things will start to go wrong, you'll start to disagree. They'll say, oh, you think you up, and you think you this. Oh, you just wanted this, you just want to. You will not be able to sit in what used to be comfortable and easy environments. Your calling is going to push you to be outside your comfort zone.
Wow.
And let me tell you, and sometimes you gotta walk, and everybody might not understand you. It'll just seem like everything is falling apart because God is pushing you to a place that He wants you to trust Him, and He needs you to activate your faith. And so when people who you used to jail with all the time, and you used to be your best friend, when those relationships start going south, and then you go, why is this?
Right.
What is wrong? Like, I don't even know what's wrong. Please don't chase it. Please don't chase it. Trust that God has a plan for. He says, I got a plan for you. And even though it feels bad in the moment, He said, my plan is to prosper you.
Yes.
That's always been His plan. Even before your mama knew who you were.
Yes.
He had a plan for you of greatness.
Absolutely.
And sometimes He's got to do a cleansing. To get you to the purest, to the purest
but
form.
I think He does that because He wants to get all the glory. He doesn't want us to be able to say, well, I had this group over here and they really cheered me on. No, sometimes you feel like you're by yourself.
Can I tell you something? Listen, let me tell you what. I wanted to buy a house, and we were trying to move from New Orleans. Things were getting kind of rough in the neighborhood we were living in.
Yeah.
It was just time for us to move, and I didn't know where we were going to go. And so I said, God, but I had already prayed. I said, Lord, in this next season of my life, I just want to be a vessel.
Yes.
I pray in my prayer, I say, decrease me down to 0% and increase you to 100%. I want people to look at when they talking to me, that I don't even want them to see me. I want them to see you.
Jesus. Yes.
And I want them to feel you, and I want them to encounter you.
Yes.
And so anyway, so I wanted to be a homeowner. I wanted to be a home buyer. I said, but God, I want you to get the glory, and I wanted you to get the glory. I want people to watch my life and say, look, if God can do it for her, He can do it for me. Miss Hannah, I did everything right. I caught up on, I was up on my taxes. I was all of this. I wanted to everything, and I got pre-qualified for a loan for my house. I said, oh, this is it. And long story short, for whatever, I did not qualify. And they were like, sorry, Miss Hart, we don't know what to tell you. And I was so brokenhearted. And Derek, my husband, Ron, he said, Dan, he said, you asked God to do it his way. And it turns out that the people who owned the home before, they ended up buying the house the guy bought the house for his mom. And when she moved down, she stayed with his sister because the house wasn't finished. And when she stayed with her sister, she said, well, I like it here. I'm going to just stay with my sister.
Wow.
And so they just had 2 mortgages. And he was like, this mortgage is killing me. And so he said, well, listen, he said, I realized, he said, I know the bank thing didn't work out. He said, but if you just want to pay on it till you pay it off, and and everything about it, he said, I don't even need a profit off this house. He said, if you can just pay for it for what the loan that I had for it. He said, and when you pay it off, it's yours. What? He said, I don't have a desire for it. It was costing me too much money to repair. And I said, man, I said, sometimes you got to be careful when you say, God, use me.
Yes.
You got to be careful when you say, God, use me. Because sometimes they have moments where I think I'm about to hit the ground, man. I'm like, oh, Lord, we're getting close. And every time he pick you up and he say, look, this is what you think you can do with it, but this is what I can do with it. And I said, when I think about, how much of the taxes and how much of the this and the that would have to go through going through a bank. And I said, I couldn't have made up a more perfect situation, but one thing that I was committed to is I said, God, I trust you.
Yes.
I trust you.
That's the main thing. Trust God. Mm-hmm. You might not understand it, but trust him.
Ooh. And even now, look, sometimes I said I know he's going to come through, but the human in me,
right?
Sometimes I can't see it. And he said, listen, do you trust me? He asked me all the time, do you trust me?
Yes.
And I said, yeah, I trust you.
Yeah.
Because
he has the best track record. Mm-hmm. Never failed us yet.
Ooh. And look, I say, my daddy used to say, and one thing about he ain't even designed he can lie.
No.
He said, if you can find one lie in the Bible, you can throw the whole thing away.
That's right, but you can't find it.
You can't find one.
Because it's not there.
Come on. Come on. And
wow.
So so really everything about the journey for me has been about trusting God and having faith.
Yeah. It's contagious.
And I tell you what, I got plenty of it to give away. So look, make sure you come see me at danicahart.com.
And we're going to do some other things together too.
Yeah, look, I was going to tell you, look, I sure hope you have me back, okay?
You coming back again.
Look, come on.
In fact, I'm going to do my anniversary, my appreciation later on this year or next year. And I want you to be one of my special guests.
Oh, yes. I would be honored.
Yes.
I would be honored.
And I'll let you know in plenty of time so you can clear her calendar.
Get that calendar cleared.
That's right. But thank you again, and thank you all for
Hannah.
watching today. I hope you were blessed as I was blessed, because the presence of the Lord showed up. And anytime Jesus shows up, something is going to happen. The atmosphere is going to shift, and some miracles and blessings are going to take place. And until next time, I'm Hannah Hopkins with Lifting You Higher Ministries, saying you be blessed.
Here at Studio 88, our mission is to help Hattiesburg and the surrounding area create great content to promote your business and your personal brand. Studio 88 is a podcast and video content studio where we have all the equipment you need to simply come in and make great content. So if you're finally ready to create that podcast, or you simply want to make better content to post online, you can visit us at createwithstudio88.com and book your first session with us today.